I'd like to call a joint special school building committee to order. We're at the Nashua High School North Lecture Hall. It's Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. It is now 8:16. You have the book. You want to call the roll? Oh, Linda. Yeah. All right. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Dow.
Present.
Alderman Wilshire.
Present.
Mike. I'll start again. Alderman Dow.
Present.
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
Alderwoman McLean. Alderwoman Liu. Clerk is here. Ms. Raymond.
Here.
Ms. Johnson.
Present.
Ms. Bishop.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Ms. Giglio.
Here.
We have a quorum. Seven.
All right, we have a quorum. If there are no objections, I'm going to waive the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting and place them on file.
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I'm sorry I wasn't here the last one. When you added money for the escalation clause for the allowance for Harvey, how come it went from $25,000 to $270? I read the minutes, not to exceed $275, and why did we make it such a big broad amount that they didn't have to come back and ask again for more money if needed?
Okay, it was the money is still in the budget, and it was because of material costs. So they were negotiating with a couple of the vendors and needed that funds to cover the material cost increases caused by all the things that are going on in the economy right now.
So it increased by $250,000?
That was a not to exceed.
It doesn't say on here not to exceed, 275. And the difference between the 25 and the 275 is $250,000. That's a lot of money to make a motion to bring it to that point and not to have not to exceed on it. I probably would have been voted down anyway, but that's a big hunk of change here to, I find it hard right now that it went up $250,000 for all the materials. So I'm just voicing my opinion on this.
Okay. Based on the total amount of material that we have for that school, that's a small percentage. But it was a cost increase that was incurred because of what's going on in the economy.
Ms. Johnson, could you please shoot an email to the superintendent's office, because I think that's a transcription error regarding the not to exceed. The not to exceed.
I'm pretty sure it
was
said not to exceed.
definitely said.
Okay, I shall. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and so just to confirm, so in the packet that I handed out to you as part of PCO 22, which will be part of PCCO number 5 that I'll present later in the meeting, in the language, there is a not to exceed for that value that you mentioned. So just to clarify for the record.
Quickly, does this also have to do with the P-stone? The change to P-stone for the drainage around the building? No. Okay, thank you.
No. Okay. Remarks by school administration.
Just reminding everybody, or telling you for the first time if you haven't heard, we have a special, joint special on Monday, October 4th, 7 p.m. right here. The primary purpose of that is to discuss the Franklin Street School.
Okay. Mr. Parker, do you have anything that you want to add? Okay. Yeah.
Just to say that I was at Franklin Street School for the first time yesterday for a meeting, and it's nice to get a brief mini tour there. And I told these folks earlier, but the Pinachuk nurse was singing the praises of the construction company who finished their offices over the summer, and they were singing all of your praises. So just pass that along.
Yeah, and by the way, I think if you feel comfortable when you're speaking on the mic, if you could take the mask down, because it's going to be hard for the people to hear on the recording or on the TV.
I don't know.
Items for discussion. Okay, the first item is the architect's report. Jamie?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and good evening. I have another kind of brief presentation tonight. I wanted to take an opportunity from our tour at Fairgrounds. I can't remember, I guess it was a few weeks ago now, and kind of share a little bit of the before and after photos. So, and then we'll touch on Penachuk very briefly, and then a couple things ongoing at the new middle school project. So over on Fairgrounds, before I get into the photos, I did want to talk about the furniture starting to be delivered this weekend, or this week, I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday. And then there'll be a little bit more going the following weekend. So that's ongoing, and I know the school's ready for those deliveries of furniture. So the photos here are really just before and after, and I just wanted to share. I know that we all really enjoyed seeing the after when we were there a few weeks ago, but noting it with the before really can kind of punch it in everybody's eyes and say, like, we see what change really happened. So this is the approach coming from the both new and existing parking lot areas. You can see the gym off to the right with the new signage on the after. And the photo up on the left is a little bit darker, but you could see the older facade up beyond, kind of not very warm and welcoming originally, but I think it done a good job improving that and showing that there really is an entrance there. I think was really the big punch there. And then getting a little closer, you can kind of see what that looked like before and after. As we continue to approach the school, you can see the difference kind of in the doors and kind of what you're walking into. And then you get into the vestibule, into the lobby area. Before you had to walk down, up in the before photo, you walk down the hallway about halfway to get to the administration area. No real check-in, so to speak, except for the camera that was there before. Now you have that security window. It's almost under the skylight beyond in the vestibule. So you'd be checked in there right at the admin space. Then here's what one of the student commons areas looked like before. And I guess and after. Gymnasium. Some of these photos, I look at them, go revisiting, and you just realize what a difference. You would have never noticed it was the same gym in that photo right there. So. This photo was of the access to the emergency fire loop around the building. So this was the kind of that extra entrance on the, I guess that's the east side of the school, the opposite side of the school.
Yeah, east.
Is it east? Yeah.
East.
So now the fire trucks can have a nice gradual drive in and don't scrape their truck on the way in. And then I like to joke that although the students lost their ice skating rink, they did they did receive a nice basketball court area. And then just another photo of the entry area and kind of showing some of the improved landscapings and benches and stuff outside the front of the entrance.
Just before we move on from Fairgrounds, there was a tour of the school with the mayor online. It's on several places, and it also has been making its way around on social media. It was done after school was out in the afternoon, and there were some parts where we weren't wearing masks because the TV people wanted us to be able to be heard when we were just doing the descriptions. But we, at least from my own standpoint, we stayed 6 feet away from people. And the new plaque for the school is now mounted, and we will be having a ceremony at the school on a date to be decided soon. Also, the gymnasium is still the Ward 6 voting spot, and we will be doing some protection of the floor while voting is going on. Okay.
Penachuk, I don't think there's any slides associated with it except for the kind of the cover slide. I just wanted to take a moment and touch on and say that I was at the school today for a construction meeting. Progress is actually quite astonishing when you walk around. I know that Ken from Harvey will have a few pictures, but even those are dated on a daily basis. Things are going well. We met with the assistant principal. There wasn't too much ongoing that was of any concern. And we just continue to move on that one. So a lot of submittals and RFIs coming in, and we're reviewing those and coordination items with Harvey. At the new middle school, want to bring to the board here and review some of the current things that have been going on. Presumably, or I mean, I guess allegedly, or not allegedly, at the city. Sound like a lawyer there for a moment. So we've had a few meetings. I think last time we were here, we had discussed the zoning board had decided to table the project so that we could meet with the Conservation Commission and come up with some resolutions on some items that were of concern. So we've since done that. We had a meeting on September 1st, and we had a meeting on September 22nd, which was yesterday. The September 1st meeting was more of a workshop-style meeting where we discussed some ideas and kind of reviewed some items that could be looked at to create a better environment for some of the habitats that the Conservation Commission were concerned about, and I'll walk through some of those in a moment. And then the 9/22 meeting that was last night, that was a vote on the project. They voted 5, with some of the adjustments that were made, they voted 5-0 to recommend the project to the zoning board. We have a zoning board meeting next Tuesday to review the project again. And then the planning board meeting for the project is scheduled for October 7th. So some of the proposed site adjustments. The next slide will actually do a nice job of showing the overlay. And I'll do my best to point, although I know people at home may not be able to see it, but I will explain to the best of my ability here. So some of the, as you come off Buck Meadow, up the access road, you kind of enter the school property at the corner. That access drive originally, in the last design, was avoiding 3 potential vernal pool areas, which are noted as 2, 4, and 3, I think.
Yeah, 3.
And they kept the 20-foot buffer that's required by ordinance, but there was concerns from the Conservation Commission that when they did their visit a while ago, I guess it's maybe back to before June even, that some of the areas 2 and 4 seemed like more of a potential vernal pool. So one of the ideas brought forward was to pull the access road south a little bit, and although disturbing the wetland 3, give the 50-foot buffer to 2 and 4. So Harriman reviewed how that could happen, and as you see it here, that was able to be done. What happened is there was a different assortment of parking lot here, so that parking lot kind of broke into a couple different areas with another one over here. With the parking lot going here, we had to move the basketball court down below the baseball diamond, so that basketball court moved down, and then that took the place of the former tennis court. And I think we touched on that a little bit, but it was a a single tennis court, not, I think we kind of said, we as in just this discussion suggested that one tennis court would not suffice for like a team. So it was just kind of, it would be, not something that was a necessity. And we reviewed this with the athletics director and the school administration and discussed that as well. So we're discussing it here too. But that allowed for this access road to come in, avoid the wetlands, potential vernal pool areas here. Still has the basketball court. And then one of the other adjustments was the track had the extension on both ends, the kind of that straightaway run here. And it was sticking out on this end. And they, during the workshop, they had asked to flip the track completely 180 degrees, so the extension was on this side. We found that that was actually more impactful to the site, and found, I think, at least one of the middle schools actually has just an extension on one side. So we were able to slide this back and give less impact to this wetland that was up here. So that worked actually very, very nicely and quickly. Couple of the other items that were reviewed yesterday was providing a couple of culverts. There was already one here, but instead of a round one, we went to a rectangular natural earth bottomed culvert so that the critters and beings that live in the area can crawl through and not have to go above the road. And another one of those is proposed here. To do the same exact thing, same idea. And I guess one of the other stipulations was to have a pre-construction meeting with the Conservation Commission on landscaping, so that they are aware of really what's going in and can give some of that feedback to us and make adjustments a little bit if needed to help with the beings that may be in that area. And I think some of the items they had asked about were already included in the project. They were talking about, oh boy, I lost the scientific term for some of the shrubbery that doesn't require mowing, and that's already included in the project. And we have some no-mow grass and things like that that help lower not only maintenance costs, but the amount of, motors you're running and things like that. So.
The vernaculum?
Yeah, and that's right. And then one of the other items they asked for is a hibernaculum.
Hibernaculum.
That is a area that would be put next to a vernal pool. It's like a natural area. I'm not a scientist, and I've only learned the term recently on this project, but it's an area that the salamanders that are near those vernal pools can come out and I'll call it live or breed inside of these little like natural, tree areas.
It's just for 5.
Just for number 5, correct.
The
blue
main
one, which
finish.
is right here. Yep. And then the last stipulation was having the wetlands, the environmental biologists come back and review vernal pools 2, 4, and 5 to identify the exact salamander species that may or may not be in that area, and that would happen in the springtime, sometime around April. So.
Yeah, they would determine if 2 and 4 were actually active vernaculums, and 5 is, so.
Yeah, 5 is a noted vernal pool, 2 and 4 are potential. All right, I'm going to move to the next slide, and then I'll pause for some questions. But so here is the overlay of the adjustment on that access drive. You can see kind of the light gray area was the existing layout, and then the hatched area is now the new layout, the modifications that were made to go back to the Conservation Commission last night.
Yeah, the suggestion to go through, not do anything with 3 and go through 3 with the road was actually Conservation Commission suggestion.
Okay, so does anybody have any question? And there was a lot covered there, and thrown out terms like hibernaculums, which I've never heard of, like I said, until recently. So, any questions on any of the stuff that I presented tonight?
The Conservation Commission is going to help us with that design, because that's something new, and it's pretty much all natural material. It's probably not a very expensive thing, but just want to build it right.
That was going to be
Yes.
my question, if we had any idea of the costs associated with these changes. Changes which I think are fantastic, and I love the idea of including more native species
Yeah,
as we work forward.
We don't have the cost difference, so to speak, yet, but I will note that I think the civil engineer last night reported that there was about I want to say it was like 4,000, and please don't write that down as a quote, but it's around 4,000 square feet of reduced impervious areas. So that portion alone would potentially mean that there'd be less, some less cost in that area. Things like moving the track, that's just sliding it one way or the other. That actually may help because you're not impacting so much of the wetlands area. You've reduced the volleyball, I keep saying tennis area. And the culverts it was already a culvert here, we're just swapping the type that's there. There was an add of a culvert here. Harvey could speak to maybe the impact, potential impact, maybe not the exact dollar, but if it's significant or not significant. And then hibernaculum is, from the photos that I reviewed, it's a lot of like natural sticks and brush that are kind of put into an area that kind of creates this wetland chamber off to the side. Again, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know the exact makeup of it, but it did not feel like a very significant cost item. And then the landscaping, I think, would be more of a, swapping one species of plant to another within the same budget. It would be the intent.
Yeah, the only cost recognized right away was Harriman's engineer being locked in the basement doing all the design changes on the drawings in a quick manner.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there was a big change there, but for the engineer, it is a lot of recalculating, regrading, drainage, reworking the chamber system that's in that the storm water would go to. So he's been working on that to finalize that in prep for the planning board meeting coming up.
Okay, I'm sure the Conservation Commission has suggestions on where to find some of the native species as well.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but we did include a vast majority of native species. I think it might be some of those just reorganizing where they are or something like that to help the areas. So,
Okay, great, thank you so
Bishop.
much.
Oh,
I have a quick question. With the neighboring neighborhoods that are around the school, if we come up with like walkways, like how Nashua North has the walk paths into this neighborhood and then the walk paths into that neighborhood, are we looking at doing anything like that for this school to accommodate those closer located areas? And then do we need to run that past the conservation people as well? Because if kids can walk to and from, and
So I do know from the surveys that were done that there are some natural, you can see actually one here, it's a cart trail that goes through
Right.
the property.
Yep.
There are some that go off into this direction, up into that kind of that, area of natural spaces up there. There's nothing in that realm being added to the scope right now, or nothing in the project, I should say, to create pathways. But there are some existing pathways in that area that would not be, dismantled because it's not part of the actual project site.
yeah, there were two pieces of property owned by the city to the east of the school property, one that we moved the boundary line on so we could do the track. And that first piece of property is nothing but trails. In fact, kids, if they run cross-country, can probably use them. And then the piece of property beyond that is a buffer with a neighborhood. It can't be used for anything.
is there going to be a fence up, or are we going to be not barricading? Are we going to be creating a delineation between school space and the neighborhood space?
Yeah, that's defined by boundaries. Also, there'll be a walking path from the neighborhood up the emergency road from the intersection of Cherrywood and
Medallion.
yeah. So anybody walking to the school would go up that way. We just did an analysis. There will probably be only, at the most, 55 walking students out of 800. And most of them will be coming from the Cherrywood Street, which would go up that way.
Right.
So,
I just want to make sure they're not going to cut through the conservation land that we're working so hard to
oh, no,
preserve.
no. First of all, the other pieces of surrounding property are pretty dense wooded areas, and you wouldn't want your kids walking through there. The trails, that's a different story. I mean, there are ways to get from Cherrywood to the school site if they want to walk that way.
Okay.
And the other properties down towards Buck Meadow are all private properties, so you don't know anybody walking those either. You can walk up the school road, but. Any other questions? All set?
That's all I had. Thank you very much.
All right, so now we will go to the construction manager, Harvey. Ken? The magic pointer.
All right, good evening, everybody. Once again, Ken Lemary, project manager, Harvey Construction. I'll give you some quick highlights of the work that's taken place in the last month since we've last met here at both Fairgrounds and Panachuk. So we'll start at Panachuk. A couple of major milestones here, and here's we have a aerial view of what's going on site, so you can see. I believe this photo was taken during the afternoon, so you can see the parent queuing lane, and the buses are starting to queue at the southeast portion of the site. So the bus loop and the parent pickup and drop off is in place, and that will remain in place until next summer. The temporary signalization, so all the new lights located at Manchester Street, those are working and in place. There was a little bit of a learning curve the first week or so, but I think everybody's kind of gotten with the program, and I think it seems to be working out well. All the parking lot lights are operational on site, and I think once we complete the new bus entry off of Manchester Street, located down near that last portable where Jamie is pointing right there, that will be completed in middle of October, so that'll kind of alleviate any of the bus and parent traffic that happens in the morning. We did complete the nurses area renovation this summer, so complete with the new nurses area, a new bathroom of the internal suspension room. So there were some minor renovations at the interior of the school that were completed, so those are in place now. As a result of what you see going on in this photo, we did have to make sure that we were adhering to all the safety guidelines and have buy-in from the life safety and fire marshal. So at the bottom, there are some, at the bottom of the school, the south addition located at the south of the site, there are, for emergency purposes only, 2 paths of egress where students have to, if there is an emergency, they can exit through our work areas, fire drills, lockdown drills, et cetera. So you'll see some photos of those areas coming up later on. The chorus addition, which is located just abutting the track over here. The exterior facade and envelope is in progress. We'll be seeing the brick starting on that. I believe it's about halfway done now. Again, these pictures are only a week old, so the progress is really, it's moving along very quickly. The roofing is complete on the chorus addition. All the interior framing, in-wall rough-in, is in progress, and we'll be turning that over middle to the end of October. Not on here is the boiler room. Boiler room right here, the brick should be complete this week, and we're slated to start up the new boiler to get heat to the rest of the building middle of October, so just in time for heating season. We do have a factory startup scheduled for that, so we'll be coordinating with the plant operations team and the staff at the school to make sure that that goes smoothly. South addition, that's the large addition at the south of the site. All the exterior framing is in progress. You'll see some more detailed photos of that. The roofing is actually starting tomorrow, and all of the interior framing and the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, that's all ongoing inside. So you'll be getting, actually the facade is actually already about halfway complete as of today. So again, it's moving along very quickly. And then the the south addition will be complete in October of 2022. North addition, that'll be complete in summer of 2022. That's just a little bit lagged behind. Also, it is on schedule. The excavation and the foundations are in progress. I think this photo was taken about 2.5 weeks ago. All of the foundations are about 95% complete as of today. And steel erection will be starting end of October. So it won't be long, won't be too much longer where the north will look like the south. Sure.
Is the queuing of the parents, I can see them all the way back to off the picture, is that affecting the ability of the buses to get in?
No, I mean, it's been this is early on in the school year, so there has been a little bit of a learning curve. As long as the parents don't like double stack in the in the entrance, it seems to be working out. The final design, there is a raised island there, so you won't be able to double stack like that. And the buses will be entering from the south west portion of the site, so
Okay.
you won't have that. You shouldn't have that interaction in the mornings.
Okay, thank you.
A couple more aerial views. So there's a better view of the north addition over here. And then a view of the chorus and the boiler room and the new bus loop. So here, this is the emergency building egress that I mentioned that we reviewed with the fire marshal. They actually recommended that we built these kind of 40, I think they're 40 inches or so tall dashers to separate our work areas from the path of travel for the students and the teachers. So those are all kept 100% clear. And then there's each exit has an area of refuge per their request as well. So that seems to be going very well. We've already done one fire drill, and we're coordinating our work with any scheduled drills that will be taking place over the next few months. Has a south addition progress. So this photo was taken before any of the exterior framing had begun. So you can see kind of just the steel columns here. Since this photo was taken, almost the walls are almost completely framed on the entire south elevation of the building, and sheathing has begun to be installed as well. Some interior photos. This is the interior framing. So here's an example of a corridor. It's kind of tough to tell where things are, but you'll be able to tell once the drywall starts to be installed over the next few months. A couple of exterior windows before the windows get installed. North addition construction progress. You can see we're actually placing some of the footings during this photo. So this was early in the process. So we dig well ahead of where the foundation crew will be forming and pouring their concrete, and we kind of work our way around where we eventually tie into the existing building. So think as of today, we're roughly almost all the way around the entire building itself. Just an example of what a footing looks like for prior to placement of the rebar. We have our testing agency come in and inspect to make sure that we're adhering to all the construction documents before the concrete is placed. It's chorus addition. Probably the most progress on this this addition here. You can see some of the windows that are going in. They're actually really nice windows. Our superintendent's very excited about them. So you don't get too much excitement from our superintendents. But this again, this building is scheduled to be complete in October. Boiler room addition construction, so you can see the brick had begun to be installed here as of today. This is, I think the brick was just about to be topped off, pretty close to being taking down the staging and demobilizing and moving on to the chorus addition. And then here's just a quick photo of the new equipment that's going in the new boiler room. Again, those will be operational mid-October. Any questions on Pennachuck before I move to Fairgrounds?
Any questions? I was there today, took the tour, and first of all, day to day, the things move. You know, if you wait 2 days, a whole bunch of things change. But if anybody on the committee would like to take a tour, you're going to have to wear a hard hat, and we'll have to arrange it for a small group. But right now, it's a bunch of workers working on steel and pipes and electricity, so, but it's really coming along, and it's built very well.
Moving over to Fairgrounds, Jamie had touched on some of these items earlier, but just a couple of items. We're still addressing some punch list items here and there, dealing with just fielding any staff and administration questions that come up. You know, temperature issues as we get things dialed in. So we're just kind of working with Principal Coffey and her staff to make sure that things are being turned over and addressed in a timely fashion. Just a couple of items here. So Jamie had shown a picture of the new exterior basketball court. There is one more hoop that we are waiting for. So as soon as that arrives, we'll be getting that installed. We did have a couple of replacement wood doors that we're waiting for. I believe those should be coming in the next week or so. We'll be touching up some paint at the gym floor. That'll be taking place over Columbus Day. Again, all of these items will be taking place on a vacation day or on the weekend when the students aren't in the school. Currently commissioning all the existing building equipment, trying to tie in the existing equipment that wasn't part of the project so it works in harmony with all the new equipment that was installed as part of our scope. We're taking a look at a detail for all of the pea stone areas in the parking lot, just trying to come up with a way to keep the pea stone in the islands and not getting scattered around. So that's something that Harvey and Harriman are working through currently. And I am compiling a closeout package that's basically consists of all the as-built drawings, attic stock, which is the extra materials for plant operations to use, you know, when they need to change light bulbs or fire alarm devices, et cetera. Warranties from all of our trade contractors, performing any remaining owner training for operating equipment, et cetera. And any operation and maintenance data that we'll need to turn over, how to clean certain things, to best practices and whatnot. So that's all part of the package that we'll be turning over to plant operations over the next month or so. Any questions on Fairgrounds or Pennachuck?
No, again, we are going to be protecting that gym floor when the voting takes place. Because it only has a couple coats, right? Of some of the other schools have 20 coats of varnish on. So Again, all right, so we want to move on. Invoices? Oh, let's see. You want PCCO number 5, Ken?
Do you want me to do PCCO 5 first and then the recommendation? Okay. Okay, so I did hand out a handout to all the committee members here. We'll jump down to prime contract change order number 5. So again, a prime contract change order is just comprised of all of the previously approved PCOs that this group approved during last month's meeting. So this prime contract change order number 5 includes PCO number 17 for the landscape and drip edge revisions at Pennachuck Middle School. PCO number 19, which added some additional card readers for security purposes at all of the, I think it's 6 locations at the exterior courtyard locations. PCO 20, which was a credit for some buyout savings that I discovered that I had duplicated scope that I had bought between 2 contractors. PCO number 21, which is the demolition of the existing chimney at Pennachuck. And PCO number 2, which was the not to exceed material escalation allowance increase that was discussed earlier in the meeting. And all of those items total up to a final value of $317,865.68.
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to approve PCCO number 5, which includes the 5 previously approved PCOs. So moved by Alderman Gottfried. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. The LOR for the traffic?
Sure. So this is the letter of recommendation package for the final signalization at Pennachuck Middle School at the new entry. So just to kind of fill everybody in from the beginning of the project, at the time of the bid and GMP approval, the design of the temp and final signalization was undefined. So what Harvey did was we carried a budget allowance of $575,000, which was included in the approved GMP. So again, this recommendation does fall within the allowance budget, and we're confident that all the contract work that will be required to complete the final signalization will be under the allotted value. Again, any savings, any unspent savings will be returned to the project at the completion. So for this letter of recommendation, we did receive 2 bids. I'm recommending the low bid and as East Coast Signals. It's actually the same company that performed the temporary signalization this fall. And they're from Deerfield, New Hampshire. And just to clarify their scope, they'll be performing all the scope associated with all the traffic signals, the provisions at Manchester Street, Ferry Road, and the new site driveway. Any alterations to the traffic signals at Manchester Street and Route 3. It does not include any of the curbing, pavement, striping, sidewalks, and site work. That'll be performed by our site work contractor on site. To perform all that work, we're recommending that East Coast Signals of Deerfield, New Hampshire perform this work for a total contract value of $271,400.00.
So again, this is less than the amount of money we had put aside for this, so that's good. And East Coast Signals, again, is the company that did the temporary lighting. So any questions? Yes, Mrs. Raymond?
Thank you. I just want to clarify that the signals that they'll be working on for ongoing use
They're going to be on like a pole, like the other signals at Manchester Street and Route 3? Okay.
They will-
Not like a
No,
hanging?
no, they won't be hanging on, like,
Okay.
on ropes like the.
I
no.
don't care for those.
The only comments we had from the neighbors was they wanted the poles, like you have other places, to be black. So they'll be gloss black, and that's okay with Department of Public Works, so they'll be more attractive than the.
Excellent.
Any other questions? Yes, Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you. So we're figuring that this is the final price to do all this work for $271,400?
There is one more portion of the work that I mentioned, like I mentioned earlier, the site work portion. That'll be done by the site work contractor that is currently under contract that is performing all the scope for us on site for the project itself. We do have, I am confident that we'll be well under the allowance value that was allotted during GMP. So again, any savings will be returned at the end of the
The
project.
site work is, we are adding lanes to Manchester Street, turning lanes, and we can't add that turning lane until the gas company moves the gas vault that's sitting right there. And they are moving the gas vault onto Pennachuck property, which is already, the easements have already been approved by all members of the involved, including the Pennachuck, so.
Okay, so East Coast Signals, $271,400. That's what we're talking about here, and that's it.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, so can we put a not to exceed to $271,400, please?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That'll be their contract value, so it'll be a not to exceed.
So
Okay,
would
thank you.
somebody like to make a recommendation that we approve the letter of recommendation for award of traffic signal to East Coast Traffic Signals in the amount not to exceed $271,400?
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Johnson. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Turner Building. Is that you, Sean?
Yes, it is. So as you probably recall, we've had commissioning services for this project at Fairgrounds Middle School. So as mechanical systems are brought online, commissioning agent comes in and makes sure everything's performing according to the specification. So they're checking the work. First of all, they check the work of the designer, make sure they agree with how it was all designed. Then they check the work of Harvey and their subs to see it was actually put in place the way it was designed. So that process has worked very well and is nearly complete at Fairgrounds Middle School. So over time, the last time this school was renovated was in the mid-90s. In fact, when I got here in 97, we're in a punch list phase for Fairgrounds Middle School. So that was really the last time I got a look from a professional engineer. And then it was built in the 60s, give or take. So this proposal would have them look at all the old mechanical systems. So the original systems that were installed, the systems that were installed in the mid-90s, and then some of you may recall we installed some air handlers in the tech ed wings about 3 or 4 years ago. So they look at all those, make sure everything's functioning the way it should be, the way it was originally designed. As it turns out, Turner Building Science is affiliated with H.L. Turner Group, who was the architect engineer for the project in the mid-90s. So they'll do all that for the not to exceed price of $29,400. I recommend you approve that.
Okay, you heard the not to exceed for Turner Building to do the proposal for the Fairgrounds Middle School existing mechanical. Make sure that all the equipment's working together, and that includes all the balancing, the temperature-wise and things. Make sure all the equipment is working. So I'd like to have a motion to award Turner Building Science and Design the contract for $29,400, right?
Yes.
Any questions?
Not to exceed in there, that's what,
Not to exceed, in fact, I wrote it right down here, not to exceed. and
that's
didn't
okay,
say
it's
it.
late now, you know.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Johnson. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, invoices.
Okay, I'll read through the invoices, actually from your agenda. They're also in the financial sheets. So the first invoices are for Harriman, 3 invoices, one for each of the 3 middle schools. Those total $136,694.49. I have 2 invoices for Harvey Construction, one for Fairgrounds, one for Pennachuck. Those total $1,313,126.92. 2 invoices for Hayner Swanson. They are a surveying company, one for Pennachuck, one for the new middle school, totaling $11,410.61. 1 invoice from John Turner Consulting for Pennachuck. They are our testing agency, so when we showed you pictures earlier of all the rebar for the foundation walls, they're the ones that come and make sure that is properly placed. So that's $2,635. Turner Group, we have 1, 2. I'm confused what I see in front of me. Let me come back to that. Vanessa and Associates invoice, they are our traffic engineer for work at Pennachuck. 1 invoice, $9,734.04.
All set?
I'm still trying to decipher what we've got
Turner
here.
Group was
Turner Group.
$2,200 for the new middle school and $9,094.39 for Fairgrounds.
Well, I see what she did. She just put the
She just
total at the
added
end instead of at the top. Okay. Yes, what Alderman Dow just said. Turner Group, again, is our commissioning agent. 2 invoices, one for the new middle school, that's for the design review. And then the other one is for the actual commissioning work at Fairgrounds Middle School, totaling $11,294.39.
So I'd like to have a motion to approve and pay the following invoices. Harvey Construction, $1,313,126.92. Harriman A&E, $136,694.49. Hayner Swanson, $11,410.61. Vanessa and Associates, $9,734.04. Turner Building Science, $11,294.39. John Turner Consulting, $2,635 for a total of $1,484,895.45.
So moved.
So moved by Mrs. Raymond. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. So, next item is any comments by committee members?
I think, Heather and I just want to say thank you very much for pushing the meeting out so that we could be here. Balancing kids in this is fun, so thank you very much.
Hopefully you all got good reports on your students from the teachers at Elm Street.
Our teachers are dedicated teachers, and our students are getting an excellent education. I'm glad we were able to
Yes,
be a
just
part
a-
of that tonight.
Just a couple other quick things. Since our last meeting, we had a meeting before the planning board with the subdivision plot for the Gagnon property. That was approved, and our surveyors have done the Mylar documents that need to be signed so it can be registered. And basically that all's going through, getting all the signatures, and then the closing for the property should be any time now. And so that will be the last check mark on the property. I think that's pretty much it. So if there are no other committee questions, we don't need a non-public. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adjourn.
I knew you were going to do that. Motion is to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned at 9:11. Thank you, everyone.